Oh boy. Alright, so I guess today's episode is going to be walking a bit of a fine line. Honestly, it's been a while since I've seen this episode, but the last time I checked, I didn't really like it that much, but after rewatching a couple of other perspectives, I'm trying to keep that into consideration with my own personal views, but I just need to get this done because once we do that, the disc 1 of the MLP Season 6 DVD will be done. So, let's just get right into it. This is Newbie Dash. So, this episode starts out with Rainbow Dash flying through Ponyville and meeting up with Scootaloo, only to see the Wonderbolts flying through the sky, with Spitfire dropping in. As always, the classic superhero landing of Deadpool.
Rainbow Dash, glad we found you. We meet you in the show when we get to Ponyville. Why? She's only in the reserve. Not anymore, kid. You mean... Rainbow Dash, you're finally a full-fledged Ponyville!
Yep. This is the main focus of the episode. After waiting 6 seasons that has been talked about since the beginning of the show, Rainbow Dash is now officially a full-fledged Wonderbolt. Also, me, Morby Face of Scootaloo.
Yeah, Rainbow Dash! Woo! What'd she say?
The sweet joys of every Brony of Rainbow Dash finally achieving her dreams after 6 seasons. Man, is this gonna be good. So because of that, the next day, Rainbow Dash basically flies around to start packing up.
Orders? Got it. Do you have time to tell us what happened, Rainbow Dash? Oh, yes, we must know every detail. Starting from when you were full, and you first knew your destiny to become a Wonderbolt.
I think she kind of already told that story, 1 and 2. I myself have, okay, well, to be fair, a lot of people have been around since the show began. As for me, I didn't actually start the show till, if you probably remember, when I started doing these reviews. Like, I basically came in near the end of the hiatus for Season 3. See, so I honestly didn't have to wait that long until every other season after, but that's beside the point. So, Pinky, I don't think we need to explain the details.
Well, not much to tell, really. Spitfire told me the Wonderbolts need me to go on tour with them. That's really great. I know how long you've been waiting for a spot to open up. Yeah, Firestreak decided to retire and teach full-time. Well, still, Flexible will probably be turning out Wonderbolts with him there. But guess who was at the top of the reserve list? I know! It's me! So what do you do now, Dashy? I have to report to Wonderbolt headquarters this afternoon.
Which, by the way, we have not seen since Season 3. And I'm assuming they managed to keep themselves together ever since what happened with Lightning Dust.
It's only 2 days till tour starts, and I need to learn the routine. You're leaving already? But we barely started your congratulations party. I haven't even thought about your going away party yet.
Well, it's Pinky, we don't really have the time for that. So, of course, Rainbow Dash goes off to enjoy her first day of being a Wonderbolt.
Because there were 20 ponies in the original EOC guard that became the Wonderbolt. Right. And I know you've seen the Academy bunk, but these are the official Wonderbolt variants, built by Admiral Fairweather himself. Don't forget rule number 1, newbie. Always check both ways before crossing the runway. Sure, but nobody else is here. They will be. And most of the Wonderbolts like to make a flashy entrance, so stay alert. Right. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, TVY, obviously for kids, but for someone who's a 22-year-old man, it's kind of something that I don't really need to know. I I mean, yeah, I do know that, but I've known about it since, like, what, Sesame Street came on? So Rainbow Dash gets a tour of the quarters as she and Spitfire decide to be nerds together for about a hot second or so.
I mean, cool. Okay, Newbie, we've got a show in 2 days, which means you gotta hustle your haunches to learn this routine. You got 5 minutes to get dressed and get outside to meet the rest of the team. Yes, ma'am! I'll have all the moves down by the end of the day. Let's hope so. We're all expecting you to make quite an impression.
And thus, Rainbow Dash puts on the Wonderbolt uniform she's envisioned for so long, and as I said, every person in the Brony community cries tears of sweetness and joy.
Looking good! Okay, you're about to take your first flight as an actual Wonderbolt. No pressure. Just gotta go up there and knock them off their hooks. Okay, Wonderbolt, get ready to meet your most awesome member ever!
So how long until she mucks it up? Place your bets. Let's place your bets. It's how much is she gonna muck it up? I'm gonna say 10 seconds. Somewhere between 10 and 15 seconds. Alright, let's see. The DVD player says 5 minutes, 38 seconds. So let's see. So she's about to step forward. And
Hey, look out!
ouch. Okay, so that was 5:38, and that is at 5:55. So let's see. So that's 5:55 minus 5:38. Wow, 17 seconds. Some people could say 12, but come on. It's amazing, Rainbow Dash. Your first day as a Wonderbolt, and you already screwed up not even 17 seconds wearing the uniforms. And because of this gives the Wonderbolts the idea of basically starting to call her Rainbow Crash. And thus we see that Rainbow Dash gets a Vietnam flashback of basically getting the same nickname when she was younger.
More like Rainbow Crash.
Okay, now, as you can probably tell, this has been, at the time, probably another one of those controversial episodes at the time of Rainbow Dash and the nicknames getting to her. Firstly, it makes sense now obviously some of the bullies that have appeared in the flashback are obviously the same dicks from Sonic Rainboom, but the reason that Rainbow Dash was able to brush it off so easily despite being called the nicknames was obviously because they're one-dimensional bullies. They're idiots. They don't know any better, so she knows how to shrug it off. However, it affects her here, or in the present, where she's with her idols, the Wonderbolts, so it really kind of affects her. And personally, I can kind of relate to that. Okay, yeah, I'm not in the military, so I really don't know any type of military background, but I remember, because the thing is, I know that I'm a pretty good dancer, and over the summer before I went to high school, I actually had private lessons with one of the contestants that appeared on So You Think You Can Dance, Waddy Jones, from, I don't remember the season he was on, but I figured, okay, so he's going to be on a contestant from a show that I watch, and I know it's a lot of pressure on me. And so when I basically showed him what I did for my 8th grade talent show, a lot of the stuff that he said, the criticism, said that makes sense, told me to like clean it up a bit, and there were some areas where I was sloppy. It didn't make sense, but at the time, it just hit like a freight train, to be honest with you. Like, it really did hurt, because, let's be honest, I was taking private lessons with somebody who appeared on national television and danced in front of America. So that's a lot of pressure to deal with on its own, and to hear that it wasn't as good as I thought it to be was kind of took a blow to my ego. So even though dance has nothing to do with what the episode is showing, I can kind of relate to what Rainbow Dash is going through. That being said, I do have to criticize the episode's flashback where their flight instructor is basically laughing at the poor child who is basically having a crisis-essential issue at the moment. And it's just making me thinking back to the live-action remake of The Grinch. Can we just for once get some sort of media where a teacher doesn't laugh at a child's problem?
Hey, you guys buzzed me on purpose. Not quite. You forgot rule number 1, newbie. Always check both ways before crossing the runway. Yeah, well, I was just testing you guys. Alright, no point got hurt, and we got a lot to do. So let's forget about this and get flying. Classic rookie move. Rainbow crash. Well, fuck you too.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, I understand basically the sentiment. Spitfire is actually doing a really good job of handling the situation, and obviously that last Wonderbolt was kind of a bit dickish towards Rainbow Dash. So as Mui Ruma says, fuck you too.
That was amazing.
He's way better than you.
As I said,
Well, fuck you too.
and so they start practicing the routine, and naturally, Rainbow Dash struggles to try to keep it up. Admittedly, that was a little funny considering that she says she's not crashed and she crashes into something, but yeah, basically it's kind of understandable where Rainbow Dash is coming from. As I said before, the reason that she's letting the names get to her, unlike in the past, is because these are basically ponies that she's looked up to for a long time. And she's having a hard time trying to keep her ego in check, because she hasn't really learned that to do that in front of her idols. She learned it through her friends and acquaintances, but not the people that she's looked up to, like Daring Do or the Wonderbolt. So it's really kind of understandable where Rainbow Dash is coming from.
Sonic Rainbow? I can learn this routine. I'll have it down cold tomorrow. Probably even come up with a couple of improvements.
That being said, those lines do kind of hurt Rainbow a bit. Since knowing that you have to get the routine as down as possible and to memorize the moves as much as you can, deviating from your own superior officers just because you're trying to boost your own ego is only going to hurt you in the end, and it's going to make the entire team look bad. Believe me, that's what we're doing in Dance Team right now. So, as I said, even though the two are not related of the two different backgrounds, they're still kind of the same thing. So, Rainbow Dash is basically the equivalent of those people on the team who can't keep their egos in check and try to make the show about themselves. So, I watch what you say, Rainbow Dash.
Over here. Yes, miss. I'm glad you're still here. Oh, yeah? Did you want some ideas on how to make the show extra awesome? Not quite. I know you've been a reservist for a while, but the rules have a few of their own rules you might not know about. Like worst flyer of the day, has to clean up the whole compound. Better get to it, Crash.
Now, I'm not saying anything because, honestly, what happens later in the episode is going to make a lot more sense when I try to explain it, so I won't spoil anything. again, but I think this is... So yeah, obviously Rainbow Dash's first day has been kind of a shit show as she returns home to her friends and obviously idols and explains how her first day went.
My big day. Is something wrong, Rainbow Dash? What could be wrong? I'm finally a wonderbolt, which means everything has to be totally, perfectly awesome. Oh no, something is wrong. What happened, darling? I told you it's nothing. I mean, maybe some of the wonderbolts started calling me Rainbow Crash. Oh no, isn't that the same terrible nickname those bullies in flight school used to call you? Why would they call you that? Well, I kind of sort of fell into a garbage can. Ugh. Well, look at the bright side. At least they didn't call you Rainbow Trash.
Remember that line, because I think it's good that they went with the original, because if they actually did go with that, because let's be honest, Trash is probably a worse nickname than Crash. So if they ended up calling her that throughout the episode, it would probably cheapen the message that the episode's trying to teach. Just a little food for thought. And then Applejack chimes in and says, honestly, the most logical thing ever.
Oh, you started off on the wrong foot. I bet every new Wonderbolt has a tough first day.
And let's think about it. That's not just us in the episode. When you think about it, it's actually kind of in life, wherever you go. Whether you're starting out middle school, high school, college, or whatever, or even joining certain clubs like dance team, or when you join the workforce. If you're not gonna have if you don't end up having a great first day, that's honestly natural. Everybody has the first day where it's up to a rough start, and you're not expected to make a first good impression. And over time, once you get used to the routine, you'll naturally get accustomed to it. But everybody on their first day will have it rough. All you gotta do is just try to move forward, and basically, you just keep on keeping on, and tomorrow will be a new day, and as I said, you'll naturally get better and better at it until you're used to it. So I think that's a good line for Rainbow Dash to understand. How did they fuck it up?
What you need is to find a positive way to stand out. As soon as you're known for something else, that nasty old nickname will be forgotten. Very right. Why don't you think of the Wonderbolts like us? We're a team, but we all stand out in different ways.
It's almost that time. But, yeah. Rarity, honestly, I've come to expect her to just ruin that line of basically saying to forget the nickname and try to stand out in your own way. But here's the thing. If it's a routine that everybody needs to know, deviating it from yourself is only going to make you look like the jackass and screw it up for everybody else. And I'm surprised that out of all the main six, Twilight is the one who backs it up. And I get it. They're trying to encourage Rainbow Dash to not let it get... But trying to tell them to stand out in their own way is only going to cause problems. And that's exactly what happens. Because the next day... Oh dear Lord. We get to... probably the one thing I think everybody hates about the episode. It's the comedy. Where I'm just basically going to stop and take in the insanity just to save my sanity for myself and just basically explain what it is. Oh my god. Basically what happens is Rainbow Dash tries to impersonate the main six. Remember that one scene in Treasure of Griffinstone where Rainbow Dash impersonates Twilight? Yeah, well, just take that scene, do it 5 times, and take away everything that made it funny. think, honestly, this is the one thing I will say. I think, honestly, everybody can agree that that entire scene is just not funny. Even the people who like the episode can agree that the scene is absolutely cringeworthy and just not funny at all. So, I'm just gonna see. I'm going to try to take it in as I can and see if I can sit through it, because usually the last time I watched this episode, I just straight up fast forward through it. But for the sake of some comedy and sanity for myself, I'm going to try to see if I... So, as a brave boy, but again, 22-year-old man, so a brave man, I'm going to see if I can try to watch it. Actually, I think I may need some water in order for this, just to keep myself in check. Okay, let's see. Alright. Let's see if we can do this.
Everybody, who's ready for a fantastic day of play? I know I am. I just couldn't be more excited for the big show tomorrow. Are you guys excited? Am I excited? I'm always excited. The police call me Karen Rabbit. Yeah. I'm so full of energy all the time.
Not a brave enough boy for this!
Yep. I can't do it. I just can't, but I really hope you like that, because Rainbow Dash is going to do it 4 more times.
Wonderful. I like to tell it like it is.
Alright. Since I saved you some sanity and just fast forward to those lines when she impersonates Applejack, I'm not from the South, so I'm not sure how to be offended by that. But I can be offended enough to say, why?
And I believe it.
So like I said, just to save my sanity, I'm just going to fast forward some more and tell Rainbow impersonates Twilight.
Somebody invented urine. It made me think that Street by Texas could really help increase our emissions. So I went ahead and picked up a rapper pony.
Let's be honest, I think Spitfire is pretty much everybody watching the episode at this point. As I said, everybody who does like this episode can agree that the entire second act of Rainbow Dash's comedy of the main 6 is really not funny, just really, really cringeworthy.
I'm always finding so much interest.
And even Spitfire can't take it since...
Information in books. In fact, a lot of police call me Reading Rainbow.
See. At the time this episode came out, it was like, what, 2016, 2015? But even as of now, DHX, you're basically like 3 years late to that. And even Spitfire can't take it.
Well, now I'll wait for it, Newbie. And we already have Gatlin. Now down the runway.
It's basically code for, we're not putting up with your shit today. You need to learn this entire routine in 1 day. So stop dicking around, shut up, and do it. You think Rainbow Dash is going to... But nope, it's for impersonation number 4, where she does Fluttershy.
I'm so sorry. I was just trying to help you hear about all of the wonderful...
Dashy, please make it stop. I'm really trying to keep myself under control because this entire segment of unfunny comedy is pretty much the equivalent of me getting hit by a car going at 80 miles per hour.
Oh, so much. Yesterday, just call me.
Make it stop. Begging you. Oh, God. Nope, I thought I could get through this without pausing, but I can't. Like, it was bad when I first watched this episode, and it's bad watching it now. Oh my God. I'm just... Okay. I may have to take this a few steps at a time.
Here, Mayor. But if you're busy now, I can just come back later.
Oh, shut up! Jesus Christ, man, what the hell is wrong with you, please? Just shut up! Ah.
Yeah, Rainbow Dash doesn't know when to take the hint, and oh, wait, here we go. There's the last one where she impersonates Rarity, and it's the most painful of all.
Why, ever since I was a foal, I've admired the mixture of bold lines and classic costumes. They don't call me Rainbow Dash for nothing. The best is profession.
Mama, you misery! Somebody put me out of my misery! I can't stand it anymore! I can't stand it!
I thought I could do it. I can't. Honestly, this entire scene hurts the episode so much, and it's painful to watch. But Spitfire finally steps in and basically gives it straight to Rainbow Dash.
I'm not sure why you're acting like this, but you need to stop. I was just, trying to show everybody all the awesome ways I can contribute to the bowl. I know you're excited to find your place on the team, but just focus on the routine for now, okay? Yes, miss. Maybe this will help motivate.
So, yeah, surprisingly, Spitfire was able to actually, be able to keep it under control. Just basically tells her flat out, whatever it is you're doing, you need to stop and just focus on what you need to do. Don't worry about it. Now, there are some consensus about the episode that people complain about and saying that why doesn't Rainbow Dash just tell her at this point in time in the moment, just basically tell her, like, look, you calling me Rainbow Crash is hurting me, and I don't understand why, but it bothers me, and I don't think it's fair. Now, to be fair in the perspective of things, this Rainbow Dash basically is sort of a headstrong type of character. She always takes action first and not think rationally. So, in any sense, she would never think of something like that and just basically goes with the actions rather than in words.
You. We all have our nicknames on our jackets. Right, Flipper? Right, boss! Now it's official. Welcome to the Wonderbolt, Crash. Don't come up with something unforgettable to add to the routine. I'm gonna be Rainbow Crash for the rest of my life.
Now, as I said, this basically, obviously, as I said, basically raises the question of why Rainbow Dash doesn't tell Spitfire this, considering that she brought up certain issues back in Wonderbolt Academy back in Season 3. It's just as I said before, Rainbow Dash is basically the character archetype where it's basically actions first and not thinking rationally, so it's actions that speak louder than words. And it's basically just something that Rainbow Dash never thinks about. So, on the day of the routine, Rainbow Dash comes up with a cockamamie scheme and gets Scootaloo involved with it on the day of the routine.
I just need a small favor from you that's really going to make this show something special. Now, off a lightning bolt right behind me, making me look totally awesome. And then I'll do some incredible rainbow dash flying with it. It's the coolest, show-jumpingest, lightning-casting light show anybody has ever seen.
Okay, there's a lot to unpackage here, because as I said, at the time of this episode, this was very controversial at the time, so bear with me, because there's a lot to unpackage here. Now, we're just going to take out the fact that Rainbow Dash is going to try to endanger the life of a young child of Scootaloo. Now, many people have complained that this was out of character for Rainbow Dash, where, honestly, I really don't think that's the case. Rainbow Dash always basically sees herself as a very good flyer, and basically she just always, as I said, thinks about the actions. As I said, even though those lines can sound like she's regressing, I've said it before, where basically she knows how to keep her ego in check, but only around her friends and her acquaintances, and not around the people she looks up to. She hasn't learned to keep her ego in check because she wants to show how great she is. She's basically doing all that she can because she's basically not used to being the bottom of the pecking order, because she's so used to being on top. So throughout the episode, she basically seems, in a way, she's not really used to being on the very bottom. Even though in previous episodes, the Wonderbolts always hold her in high regard. Even after a certain episode, but it's already a dead horse. That being said, I think it's at this point in the episode where Rainbow Dash's ego trip does get a bit grating, consider that she's going to flat out go against the entire routine that they've been practicing for who knows how long, and she only learned it in 2 days. Honestly, if somebody on dance team, because we have to perform at Fall Weekend as of this upcoming Saturday, and if somebody tries to do some crazy shit to make themselves stand out, I am just going to lose my mind, and I'll just show them this episode to show them why that's not necessarily a good thing.
Are you sure about this? It's going to be so awesome! And nobody will ever call me Rainbow Trash after this. Oh, no, be ready for me, okay, Scootaloo? Okay.
Yeah, admittingly, this part does get a bit grating, and even Scootaloo realizes that this is not going to be a good idea.
Mares and gentlecoats, fillies and foals of all ages, look to the skies and prepare to be awestruck by the incredible flying prowess of the
So when they actually end up doing the show, they surprisingly do a good job, honestly. Didn't they just see her? They were flying right above her. Also, I'm fully amazed that nobody has questioned where Scootaloo was at.
Except maybe cotton candy.
And they do have cotton candy.
The show's starting! 1 second! Just a little bit bigger, please! Wait! Bigger!
Yeah, honestly, they're surprisingly doing good. So, Rainbow Dash doesn't really need to basically muck it up. Well, I'm just going to save your sanity, Scootaloo, and everybody, and just say, no, it ends up completely backfiring, and Rainbow Dash ends up making an ass out of herself. Oh, and then she finally tells Spitfire and everyone.
Sorry. I should hope so. You changed the routine without consulting me and put other ponies at risk. I've trunk flyers out of the bolts for less.
I know. And I'm ready for whatever punishment you want. You guys were right to
me Rainbow Crash. I've always been a standout flyer, but since I joined the Wonderbolt, I've always stood out for making mistakes. It's been my dream my whole life, but I guess maybe I'm not Wonderbolt material after all.
Are you serious? You're the most talented flyer we've ever had.
And you saved all of Equestria like a dozen times.
And also saves you guys from your own ego trip every once in a while.
Of course you're supposed to be a Wonderbolt. You've been waiting for a spot to open up ever since you joined the reserve. But you guys all supposed to be Rainbow Crash.
Yeah, so? My nickname's Clipper. You know why they call me that?
'Cause you're as fast as a ship?
Because I clipped my wing on a flagpole as I was landing on my first day.
Oh, I thought it was because of what happened in Rainbow Falls. But, yeah, it basically, as it turns out, everybody in the Wonderbolts has their own nicknames because they basically made their own screw-ups on their first day as well.
Well, on my first day, I misjudged my landing and came down right on Spitfire's hook. JC. Whoa. Hoof and mouth. You don't want to know what they call me. That is so much worse than Crash.
Yeah, and as I said, if they called her Rainbow Trash, it wouldn't cheapen the message. Also, we never do learn of Spitfire's nickname, and I actually admittedly tried to Google it, and after trying to watch the Fiery Joker's review of this episode, I was trying to think that it was like something dirty or something like that. There are a couple of things I could think of, but there's nothing really concrete, so there's nothing really determined. But I'm only going to assume that Spitfire's nickname, let's just say it's probably most likely going to be something dirty. Like 18 plus dirty. I'm just only going to assume, because we never do learn for the remaining 3 seasons after this. But yeah. This actually kind of goes to show that Rainbow Dash does learn her lesson when it comes to basically being in front of her idols. Because she's never learned to keep her ego in check in front of her idols. Even though I said this for like, what, the 3rd time now? I honestly have to keep repeating myself because there's a lot of people who really don't like the episode that really don't seem to understand that.
Right? So, does this mean...
So basically they say that while Rainbow Dash will accept punishment, she's okay with basically doing the cleanup since they now fully accept her.
We just wanted to check on you. Are you doing okay? I'm doing great, thanks. Sure you don't need any help? Nah, this is my responsibility and I've got to clean it up myself. And after this, Spitfire's got me cleaning the Wonderbolt's compound for the next month. So, why are you in such a good mood? Duh! Because I'm a Wonderbolt!
That line's really important. It goes to show that it doesn't matter how badly that you screw up or how bad you think you are. As long as you have an entire team to have your back and you're part of a team with people that you're enjoyed to be around with, and something that you've been wanting to do your whole life, it's totally okay. So it's totally understandable where Rainbow Dash is coming from. And thus, we end the episode with the image that every Brony probably put on their screensaver. Where after 6 long seasons and some rocky roads in this episode, Rainbow Dash finally achieves her dream. And that was Newbie Dash, and honestly, when I first watched this episode, I didn't like it all that much. But I think it's sort of similar to how I felt to It's About Time, where after watching it again, it's better than I expected, and there are more positives that outweigh the negatives, but I don't know, I think this episode is just kind of right dab in the middle for me. I mean, let's be honest here. There are people that are going to have different opinions about this episode, whether you like it or hate it, but honestly, I thought the episode was fine. It did what it needed to do. It told the message that it had to. Well, that's not a way of putting it. Basically, it just goes to show how Rainbow Dash has come a long way to try to be a part of the Wonderbolt. And it shows the natural course of action in the show, what people are basically like when they first get a job, first doing a job, go into the military, or join a club where screw up, but have to take it like it is, but wanting to basically not be that first impression. And while Rainbow Dash's ego can get a bit grating, it is relatively understandable, and surprisingly for once, we actually have a good interpretation of the Wonderbolts where they basically handle the situation, basically show of being the professionals of, they just get straight to the point and just basically come out with it. Yeah, sure, there are alternatives where some things can be fixed, but it's honestly natural for a character like Rainbow Dash, because she's not the type of character that thinks with her words and is more focused on her actions. So it's relatively do good in all around those areas. The things that it does fail, though, is in a bit of the writing, and most notably is with the humor, which, as I said, the humor of this episode was painful to get through. It only lasts like 5 minutes, but it feels like an eternity. And it does bog the episode down a bit, and it does get kind of grating. But aside from that, after watching it again, it's kind of understandable. Yeah, the humor's not that good, some of the logic doesn't make any sense, and Rainbow Dash's ego can get a bit grating, but it's not really that bad an episode. And like I said, it wasn't really that bad of an episode that I made it out to be originally. So, I think as a whole, I want to say there's just like a lot to unpack here with this episode, because there is a lot to say. Hey, but I think overall, I think this episode's okay. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just average. So, I think Newbie Dash will get the B+. I think maybe if you just turn your brain off and try not to take it too seriously and understand where Rainbow Dash is coming from, you may enjoy the episode. So as a whole, Newbie Dash is a B+. No, not B+, B-. Because believe me, like, the humor definitely bogs it down, so I'm not kidding. So yeah, that being said, Newbie Dash is a B-. And with that, we're about, I believe, 1/4 through Season 6. And next time, we are going to be looking at another early Christmas episode, A Heartwarming Tale. So until then, I will see you guys next time. Bye.